Thank you for watching this Sustainability Chat. The Sustainability Institute's free programming is only available thanks to our generous members and supporters. If you find what we do meaningful, please consider becoming a member today by heading to our website, sustaininstitute.com. Once there, you can find more information by clicking the Become a Member or Donate button at the top of your screen. Membership support at any level is greatly appreciated, and your contribution is tax deductible. We especially want to thank our highest tier members, including our committed advocates and cheering champions. Thank you! Now on to today's Sustainability Chat with Andrew Ericson of UW-La Crosse.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sustainability Chats brought to you by the Sustainability Institute in La Crosse, Wisconsin. We are a 501c3, really focused on the mission of celebrating sustainability and sustainability initiatives in our area. If you're not familiar with the Sustainability Institute, we focus a lot of our work on the global goals of sustainable development. And lots of times we use what's called the Good Life Goals. It's the same thing as the global goals, just a little bit more user-friendly. This is a series of 17 interrelated goals that focus on addressing the world's biggest challenges, including inequity, poverty, and climate change. Now, there's a really good argument to be made that goal number 4, which is about teaching and learning across the lifespan, is really at the heart of all the other goals. And it's that way because it can be considered a catalyst goal, because it really can spark awareness for the action of all the other goals and just awareness towards all the other goals. And one place this happens quite naturally is in higher education. Formal learning absolutely happens in the classroom, and there's lots of, certainly lots of courses about sustainability offered at lots of colleges. However, a lot of our learning in colleges happens informally through student organizations and internships and campus life in general. So here to talk to us today is Andrew Ericson, who is the Sustainability Program Manager at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. He's also one of the 2024 winners of the Sustainability Institute's Inspiring Sustainability Awards. So Andrew, if you could jump in and join us. Thank you so much for joining us today. And just want to start off, I think, with having you tell us a little bit about your journey into becoming a sustainability professional.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Casey, and the Sustainability Institute. It's great to be here. My sustainability journey, I feel like I've told it a couple of times because I think it's a kind of a fun story. So I'd say my interest in sustainability started early, from when I was a little kid, surrounded by concern for the environment and that sort of stuff. But my kind of moment to point to is in second grade when my teacher had our class make a song called Pollution Solution, which is on DVD, probably quite rare at this moment. And maybe not the greatest experience to listen to a bunch of second graders singing, but, to each their own. And so at that point, I was exposed very in depth to issues around sustainability, climate change, and whatnot. And then I got distracted by all sorts of things as I progressed through middle school, I guess elementary, middle, high school, and then even my freshman year of college. And then, in college, I think for a lot of people, freshman year can be kind of tough and still kind of looking for where I wanted to be. And I ended up joining a club called Students for Sustainability here at UWL, which is still a club. And I still remember my first meeting there, and it was just like, wow, this is where I want to be. I'm surrounded by a bunch of do-gooders who care about something that I care about as well. And that club opened a door to a role on Student Senate. And then that opened a door to get an internship on campus. And then I ended up chairing a sustainability committee as a student here at UWL. And then eventually that opened the door to the job that I'm in now here at UWL. So really, it's felt like doors have just opened once I made the right decision to kind of reinvigorate my passion for sustainability. Is just the things just kind of opened up, and that's been very cool. And so it feels like it's been a very progressive thing where I just constantly am saying yes to things and trying new things and sometimes making mistakes, but growing and gaining new skills. And you know, for instance, having to bolster my knowledge of native plants because that's something that I needed to know. And so yeah, it's been a good journey. I'm not slowing down anytime soon. Ready to speed up.
Andrew, what was your major? Or were there any and were there any particular classes that were your time at UWL that were really influential to you?
Sure. Yeah, it was a chemistry major with a focus in environmental science, and I must have switched 3 or 4 times between majors. I remember my orientation day. I think I switched 3 times, just not knowing what I wanted to do. I think maybe poli sci at one point, biology, and then probably undeclared for a while. And I just took a bunch of science classes. I thought maybe physics was the way to go and do some engineering, but that seemed to not really, it was a little bit too technical for my interests and maybe my skill set. And then I tried biology and that wasn't it either. And chemistry was kind of this middle place. And um, yeah, so it was chemistry. And interestingly, one of the classes that I found really fascinating was microecon. It really changed the way I thought about things. I think it's been very helpful as I've been trying to, I'll say, persuade people to be able to kind of think about sustainability from the economics lens, and using that to pull people into the fold that may have not been the intention of sustainability conversations and communities in the past. And I think that we're seeing that across America, and I think it's what's driving us forward.
So
Is Go ahead.
if I'm correct here, you're the inaugural sustainability program manager, right? You're the first person to sort of be overseeing sustainability efforts writ large, like over the college for the most part, right? Like with that title.
Pretty much, yeah. There was someone who we had for who still works here who was doing about a quarter time. So I'm the first full-time sustainability position at UWL.
And how did that come about? Because you had some say in sort of that coming about, I think.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've gathered, there was advocacy for this type of role since 2008 or before, here at UWL, and actually there were a couple of UW schools, I think Whitewater and Milwaukee, that actually got their first full-time sustainability job in 2008. And so UWL, there was interest at UWL to follow suit. But it took 15 years after that to actually make it happen. And there's a whole bunch of advocacy and proposals and job descriptions that kind of flew around, and I've got all sorts of records about it. But it wasn't until our students really kind of grabbed onto it and said, hey, no, this needs to happen right now. And I've actually got a little prop here, so I don't know if you're going to be able to read this. It says petitions for sustainability coordinator. And in 2019, our students in Students for Sustainability got about a quarter of our students to sign a paper petition. And actually, my name is on the front page. And so they really said, like, hey, this needs to happen. And it didn't happen immediately in 2019, but this kind of the students were the one who really pushed it over the edge, which is true of a lot of things that I found in sustainability. It's the students who really need to be the ones to kind of give the final push.
Well, that brings me to a question. How do students influence sustainability work at UWL besides, pushing for this coordinator position? And sort of what are you hearing from them about what's important regarding sustainability or climate change, moving forward into their future?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this question earlier, and sometimes I think it's a two-way street, but I think there's a lot more. I don't know why I've tied myself into a road analogy. This isn't like me, but there's a lot of, on one side, I think that I'm educating students on some of the bigger challenges we have. So we do a lot of sustainability tours and we talk about sustainability across the campus. And so I'm educating on things like our heating system and how that's kind of a big challenge for us, as well as electricity. But on the other side, I get a lot of kind of feedback, emails, um, requests for help on projects from students, and I take that as kind of guidance for what I need to focus my time on. Um, and so recently I've gotten a lot on food waste and pollinators and native landscapes and those sorts of things. And so I think, you know, we're here because of the students, and so we really need to make sure that we're aligning with what the students want, right? And I think that there's a couple of ways that we can do that, like, you know, provide that through internships, right? If there's a lot of interest in let's say food waste, like providing those job opportunities for students to engage in that outside of the classroom, being there to partner on capstone or research projects. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, I think students are really the ones who, we got to listen to them. Like if they're wanting something, then hey, like let's make sure that we're there for them. I kind of like, just last week I was on campus at 7 p.m. Separating food waste and trash from a bin in our main dining center. This because a student was doing a research project on it, and I kind of have the mantra of, if students want to do it, like that's way more important than any like grand scheme and thought that I have. Like they're the reason I'm here. We're going to make sure that they're getting what they need.
So what are some of those sustainability initiatives, that you worked on that you're just most proud of or most excited about?
Yeah,
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 and also like what are you currently working on?
sure. So a couple of things. So I am big on active transportation and
Right.
sustainable transportation. I didn't know that about myself until a couple, just kind of getting a chance to have a tasting menu of all that sustainability has to offer. You got your food waste, waste management, electricity, energy efficiency, but that alternative sustainable transportation really has become a little bit. I'm a little bit more passionate about that area, and so that's been an area that I've been working on a lot. And I think in my head, I think it really aligns with you know the mission of this university. Our motto is Mens Corpus Q, and forgive me if I've gotten the Latin pronunciation wrong, but it means mind and body. And I think that if you think about active transportation and sustainable transportation, there's a really nice meshing there where these are good for your mind and body, and yeah. And so I'm going to share my screen uh, just for a little bit, just to show a little bit of what we're doing on active transportation. Can you see the maps?
Yeah.
So in spring of 2024, so just this last spring, we did a survey and we got about nearly 2,000 responses from our campus community. And it gave us some insights onto how students, faculty, and staff were commuting and getting around and some of the barriers that they were facing. And so we've really been using this as a way to guide our strategy on active transportation. And so I had a geography student who was able to take some of the data we got and make some maps about uh, primary mode of transportation to get to campus. So what you're looking at right now is who's walking and who's driving, and this is just students. And so we were able to use that and drill into some more detail. Let's see, just how far you can get in 20 minutes. But we were able to drill more into detail. So on the right here, you have who's walking, and on the left, it's who's driving. And so we were able to use this data to find some trends about who's doing what. And so what we found was that walkers were uh, coming from all sorts of places and at all the places that we think off-campus students are going to live. But our drivers were more consolidated in a couple of areas. And so we're really trying to drill into, okay, what are those specific barriers? And so we've got text comments that say, hey, crossing La Crosse Street near Little Caesars is really challenging, or crossing at Vine Street feels unsafe. And so we've really been trying our best and, working with our, DOT or city partners to identify ways to make it easier for our students to get around and reduce those barriers. And so that's something that I could talk about for days, and I won't do that. But we're trying to use data that we have to drive the conversation around active transportation and boosting our numbers. We're already a really walking heavy campus. About 52% of our off-campus students are walking every day. And then 16% of our faculty are biking, I believe, which is really quite remarkable. Another area that I'm really excited about is food waste. And so I've been harping on food waste a while. I'm always talking about, when you look at, food waste and reducing food waste versus something like recycling, food waste is a much bigger issue when it comes to climate. Recycling is important too. Like, let's not, get that misconstrued. But so we've been putting a lot of effort into just educating students about that, because I don't think it's thought about enough. And I've had probably 8 to 10 students who are doing in-class or out-of-class projects on food waste this semester. And so I think things are working. There's a growing consensus that this is something that we can work on. And it doesn't require, that much extra stuff or infrastructure. It's really all about education, which is kind of a nice change. We've had a lot of students who are interested in pollinators. I think that, probably at least half of the personal water bottles that students bring to campus have something about wildflowers and native species or protect the bees. So students are very salient on the issue of needing to protect our pollinators, and we're making good progress on that, as well as with kind of our trees and just landscaping in general, which has been really nice. I think we can really make some beautiful strides.
So what are some of those changes that you're seeing on campus, like with pollination patches and things like that? Are there things that students have done that have driven that work forward? Because there's been, quite a bit of building on your campus recently, and the landscaping is very different than, how it would have been landscaped 10 years ago or 20 years ago, right?
Sure. Yeah. I think that, I'd make the argument that UWL is kind of leading when it comes to stormwater management. Again, lots of those new buildings are coming with really robust stormwater management systems, and it's become kind of an integral part of the way our campus looks with these rain gardens or bioretention ponds with pollinators. But I think our students are saying, hey, we want to see more. Like, these look great, but let's do it in more places. And so nothing's happened yet, but we're making good progress. And I'm hoping that over the next couple of years, we'll start to see more additional pollinators that aren't coming as a result of those major projects coming forward. And so actually, after this meeting, I'm going to talk about pollinators, or this discussion. So yeah.
Nice. With a group of students?
Not a group. Well, I think students were the one who drove it. We had a capstone student who really kind of flipped the script and got some of our staff to think differently about this, and showed that students really do want this. And they've since graduated, but they've had a long-term impact on where this campus is going. And that seems to be the case with a lot of things, where students may not be able to see the results of their work and their advocacy, but we are moving just a little, maybe slower than we want.
Well, that gets me into a question. What makes your work challenging?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, certainly things do not always move as quickly as I want to. Sometimes maybe I'm trying to move too quickly in a system that's moving quite slowly. I think my boss once told me, you don't need to be running when everyone else is walking. Like, that's not there's a lot of wasted energy there. And so that's challenging. There's processes and complexities when it comes to, say, building projects that are a little beyond the scope of what I can control. And so there's lots of uncontrollables. There's also just a lot of people, a lot of building space. And so it's not something that just I can do. And so really, I have, you know, I should have this up in my office somewhere, but I'm kind of under the quote of collaborate or die, where like really, I need more than just me to be driving on this and thinking about these issues and doing what they can. And so I wouldn't say that I've been unsuccessful. Rather, I think I've been pretty successful at bringing more people into the loop and getting them engaged on this. But it's really monumental. And sometimes I do feel like, wow, how am I going to bring, a campus to be more sustainable and carbon neutral? And then usually I'm reminded, like, I'll get an email from a faculty that says, "Hey, I just bought an EV. Like, I'm so happy. I just wanted to share this with you." And that kind of reminds me that, we do have real support on campus, and it's not just me who's pushing it forward, but it is challenging sometimes. Um, Thankfully, though, if I run into too big of a brick wall that I can't climb over, there's usually another thing that I can push my focus onto.
Sure.
So that's nice.
Sure. So paint us a picture then. What and in your perfect world, where would you like to see UWL in terms of sustainability 5 years from now? So imagine, somebody walking onto campus in 5 years. What does it look like, and what does it sound like, and what does it feel like in terms of sustainability?
Yeah, I think everyone's walking and biking, and that's it. I'm just kidding. I would love to see more people walking and biking, but I think that just as I said in the last kind of question, like I think the more you get people, you know, outside of me and the interns or the people who work directly with me who are talking about sustainability and seeing the ways that they can their work and sustainability can intertwine is really kind of the vision. Like, uh, absolutely, there's someone in business services who could be thinking about what we're buying, what are we procuring, and how can we use that process that we have to drive sustainability. Say, like paper products, like how can we make sure that we're buying what is it, FSC certified paper products, like these things where like it's not just you're not having to kind of spur things. So that would be kind of maybe what it sounds like, where if you're just eavesdropping on another conversation, sustainability is coming up more than it already is. I think that it'd be great to see more solar panels, more pollinators, those sorts of things, where it really, you look around and any place you are on campus, you're reminded of something that is sustainability related. And I think that we have a great opportunity on campus to do more education with the work we're doing. We like to call it sustainability storytelling, which you're kind of the master of, I'd say, Casey.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, where we're an educational institution, and there's so much engineering and work that goes into even our buildings, and being able to use that more to have passive education to our direct campus, but also our broader campus community would be really great.
Sure. So that's a terrific vision. Just a final question here, how can people that are watching this or listening to this sustainability chat, or are members at the Sustainability Institute, how can they help you move your work forward at UWL?
That's a good question. I think maybe sometimes UWL can feel somewhat separate from the community at large. And there's probably ways in which that just kind of is the case. But I think we do try and strive to be an integral part that's intertwined in the community. And so I think that by just driving the community forward on sustainability with things that the city is doing, not just La Crosse, but regionally, our businesses, pushes us forward. And so I think that basically, I think we just need to keep on pushing forward, and UWL is going to come along on the journey. And I think we want to be a leader on sustainability. And I think we have been, but I think that, you can't rest on your laurels, right? we need to keep on pushing forward. But this community is really embedded in sustainability, and I think that our leadership sees that, but that needs to continue on. And I also always love being pestered with thoughts. Pester's not the right word. I love to get emails and ideas, because these sorts of things, they are reassuring and helpful. So yeah.
Terrific. Andrew, thank you so much for spending time with us today. We've been talking with Andrew Ericson. He's the Sustainability Program Manager at UWL. And keep doing the great work that you're doing. UWL is very fortunate to have you, and you're pushing them in the right direction. So thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
To stay connected with the Sustainability Institute and stay aware of upcoming events, head on over to our website to join our mailing list. Once again, we want to thank you for watching this Sustainability Chat. We hope to see you soon.